Hi, I'm Susan. Welcome to my home and studio at Windy Acre Cottage. It's a 100-year-old craftsman cottage where I love to paint and garden and entertain and care for all my wonderful fur babies, both those that are adopted and all the little fosters. It's also my home base for many fun adventures of the art, history, and gardening kind. Hello and welcome to Windy Acre Cottage in the Carriage House Studio. Today I am making two paintings for reference for Santa's Workshop. And you can see here where I'm going to paint over some old paintings. They're just canvas panels, and you can do that at home as well. It's just burnt sienna, which is a mixture of red, yellow, and blue. And even if those canvases were brand new and white, we would be putting an underpainting on there. That is always step one of our 5-step process. Step number 2 is to block in the basic shape. And on today's painting, I don't have a reference photo that I'm using. I'm just painting from the top of my head. Wanted to paint something fairly simple in shape for the kids to be able to recreate themselves. And if not, it's very easy for me to recreate when we do the Santa's Workshop with Spring Hill Parks and Rec. Many times the kids are really young, 3-4 years old, and they need a little help getting those shapes in there. And then sometimes they don't. They're either uber talented or they have a mind of their own and they know exactly how they want it to look, and they just leave them alone and they will do it. And that is what I love about teaching kids. They are fearless. They know they're artists. You don't have to tell them anything. And more times than not, they've already got an idea in their head of what they want to paint, and they may use your reference, they may not. And they are completely smitten with their paintings when they're done. There is something to be learned from watching children paint, and to be able to mimic that in our own painting, just to know that it's joyful and it's fun, and that's what it's meant to be, and we just, a good day painting is a good day, any way it goes. So anyway, on this first painting, I'm just doing some old-fashioned Christmas lights. I hate to call them old-fashioned because these were the kind of lights we had when I was a little girl, but the older I get, the more old-fashioned they look. And I'm just throwing a few lights in there and kind of connecting them with a cord or ribbon or whatever you want to call that. In fact, I'll probably paint over that with the background and then just paint it in on top. But just for your sake, I wanted to show you what that general composition is going to look like. And then on the second one, I had a suggestion from the Friends of Spring Hill Parks board, the people that met last month. They wanted just a very simple Christmas ornament. So I'm just painting a circle, and if it doesn't look so much like a circle right now, it looks like a lemon, but I should have painted that a little bit rounder. But if you have a trouble, like I do apparently, painting circles, you can just grab a small plate or bowl or lid or anything that's round to use as a template. And we'll add the little cap on there, and then a cast shadow from the side. And even though these paintings are designed for kids to paint, there are still lessons to be learned, not only for the kids, but for adults. And that is, I love to have a dominant light source when I'm painting. I want there to be a definite light coming from one direction toward the other direction, so that there is highlight on one side, shadow on the other. Even a cast shadow, as in the case of the ornament. Now you might see I'm painting just a simple ribbon attached to the cap on that ornament. And the underpainting's still a little wet, so it's kind of hard to see. It's almost blending in there, but you'll be able to see more the more we paint. And I even took a moment to stop the video and take a blow dryer and try to dry that underpainting. Typically we paint very thinly and don't use a lot of paint, and it dries fairly quickly. Acrylics dry quickly anyway. Now, I didn't show you my palette, but I've got pretty much your primary colors plus a lime green on there, and also a phthalo turquoise, which is one of my favorite colors to work with. And I wanted to use the same colors on both paintings, and I shied away from any color that may not be in the box of paints with Parks and Rec. For example, purple and pink. Every little girl wants to paint purple and pink. And we may have purple and pink in the box, but if we don't, I don't want anybody to be disappointed. But I'm fairly sure we have red, yellow, blue, black, white, green, burnt sienna, and a little phthalo. Now you might have noticed that I've painted one side a lighter green and the other side a darker green. And that's because we want one side to be illuminated and the other side to be more in shadow. You may also notice that one side is yellower and one side is bluer, and that's because the light source in my head that I have shining on this is a warm light. So any color it falls on is going to be illuminated not only lighter, but also warmer, which means the shadow is going to be darker and cooler, or in this case, bluer. Anytime you want to go cooler, adding blue always does the trick, and going warmer, adding yellow always does the trick. Now we also have other colors that we'll use, but that will only complicate matters right now, and I want to keep this as simple as possible. I love long-handled brushes. I recommend those if you're going to buy any supplies for yourself or your children for this Christmas. You want to make sure they have long-handled brushes. So we did one light in green, so we're going to do the other one in red. That's a nice complementary color. And you always want to keep in mind your complements when you're painting. Makes for a prettier painting to keep in those two colors. Of course, I'm going to introduce another color here in a minute, but I really do want green and red to be that dominant color. So the whole thing was painted in red. We're going to lighten up, and I'm going to need to warm up too a little bit. That right side, that's going to be where the light is hitting. And it's hard to, I actually added a little yellow and a little white to lighten it and warm it. But because I have a spotlight on top illuminating the scene so you can actually see it in the video, that bright spotlight has kind of drowned out the color there on that particular shape. I even took 2 white paper towels and used a rubber band to go around the LED that's shining on here, trying to diffuse the light, but it still has a bright light on there. And then over here, I mix a little blue in with my red, so it'd be darker and cooler, and we're going to put that on the shadow side. And you can do this at home. You can do it for yourself. You can do this with your kids or grandkids. Very, very easy. All the supplies can be purchased at Walmart. You can always go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any place like that. You don't have to go to an art supply store. It's just acrylic paint, canvas, and brushes. I also have an old pickle jar full of water to whoosh it out with and some paper towels in my hand. Okay, so I just painted the third bulb in ultramarine blue, just my regular blue. And then we will come back with a lighter, warmer blue. And you can add a little yellow to that. Not too much, it'll make green, but if it does, that's okay because a warm blue does look green. I think I added a little bit of that phthalo turquoise in there, though, to warm it up. Phthalo turquoise is a warm blue. In fact, it's almost green. It's kind of a peacocky color. And then I added a little black in the shadow because I wanted to go darker and cooler than blue. And so you can't go cooler than blue with blue. That would be the same temperature. So I went black, which is a lot colder than blue. And now I'm just using a dark green to paint the caps on the light. And I used black and blue and a little yellow to make that green. And you'll notice I'm not going to paint in the cord that connects them right now. That's a detail we can add later. I want to leave all that room for painting the background. Okay, I added a little yellow. And so wherever I think that light might hit, I'm going to yellow it up a little bit on that side, which is going to lighten it and warm it. And I'm surely mixing a color right now. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, it's some highlight colors. So that's yellow and white mixed together. A little red, yellow, and white for the highlight on this one. What you want to bet's in the blue highlight? It's going to be blue, yellow, white, and possibly phthalo turquoise, yellow and white. Either way, we want to go lighter and warmer in the illuminated area. I think I overdid it on that one. I'm going to blend that in a little bit. So it's not quite as a stark, sharp edge. These bulbs are spherical in a way, cylindrical and spherical, if that's possible. And so the light behaves differently depending on the shape of the object it's falling on. And that should be just a straight white. Yeah. All right. I do need to tell you that once I finished these paintings yesterday, I posted them to social media and immediately got an email from Monica, who's the president of the Friends of Spring Hill Parks, to inform me that the Santa's Workshop has been canceled this year due to the COVID virus. We debated about how to do it with COVID, and when we planned all this, everything looked like it was going to be a go with social distancing and masks and limited time, limited students, that sort of thing, cleaning between each set of students that came through. But our county has experienced an increase of late, and we just feel like we're going to have to err on the side of safety for everybody and cancel for this year. And we're all very disappointed. I'm probably more disappointed than all. I love being around the kids at Christmas time. They're so excited. Okay, notice how I'm making that a little rounder with the color, not staying in the lines. In fact, I need to go down there and kind of round out that bottom part. Okay, now we're adding the darker part that's red and blue together to make a shadow down there at the bottom. See how that makes it go from a shape to a form, from a two-dimensional circle to a three-dimensional sphere? Very easy to do that. Very, very easy. And this is a lesson you're going to take in all your classes. It's just foundational. Then I'm making it lighter and warmer up here where the light's hitting it. So as disappointed as I am that the Santa's Workshop has been canceled, I 100% support the decision and think it is the right decision. But I did want to record painting this and share it with you in case you want to have your own little Santa's Workshop at home. For yourself, with your kids, lots of lessons. They can watch this if they want to and paint along, or you can watch it and then turn around and teach them. I'm very excited. We've got a vaccine in our imminent future, and I'm sure we can pull these paintings out next year and paint them together at the 2021 Santa's Workshop. I'm using a very light pressure when I'm mixing those colors because I want it to blend smoothly and not be real painterly, which basically means being able to see those brush strokes. That's a yellow with a little bit of burnt sienna in it to mimic gold, like a metallic gold. We might even add a highlight in there to let it look reflective. And then that's part of the little ring that holds onto the tree. We won't be able to see the whole thing because we've tied a ribbon onto it. So if you don't follow Spring Hill Parks and Rec on Facebook or social media, you need to do that. We offer all kinds of free and low-cost classes for kids and adults. We've gotten a grant to have a painting class for senior adults with teenagers. And we would love to do that in person. We may have to do those on video as well. It just depends on what the situation is. We had hoped to do it in person and have been putting those off, but it's a grant and has to be completed, I think by June. So it's quite possible it's going to be on video as well. The Santa's Workshop is normally, I think, like $5 a craft or $20 for a 3-hour session. And there's usually 6 to 8 different stations set up. With anything from making homemade soaps to homemade perfumes, wood crafting, painting, jewelry making. It's an opportunity for kids to make gifts that they can give to their families and friends. And it's usually really, really close to Christmas, like just the Saturday right before Christmas. And it's loads of fun. This year it was going to be $5 per craft, and that's it, I think, because we were only going to let them come for an hour and have 3 sessions of 1 hour each. But even that didn't work out. Best laid plans, right? They just don't always work out the way we think they're going to. Just another victim of 2020. But do want to stay safe. That's the main thing. Live to enjoy more Christmases to come. So I used green on that bow. Again, green is the complement to red. It looks kind of yellow in the video because it's a very limey green. I'll give you that. I just love lime green. When I finished this painting, I thought, man, it looks like the Dr. Seuss Grinch Christmas ornament. Something about that bow just looks very, very Whoville. Adding some shadow in there with a darker, cooler green made with blue and yellow. Maybe even a little black. No, I think this is a blue and yellow. Sometimes I put black in there just to, knock off some of that intensity chroma, but I don't think I did that here because when kids paint, they don't want to worry about neutral colors. They want bright, vivid colors. So, but think about where the light's going to fall and where those shadows are going to be cast, either in the wrinkles of the ribbon or inside the loops of the bow. It's going to be darker. So, and it might even cast a shadow onto the ornament itself. So you may have a darker color on the ornament where it's cast a shadow. I've gone back with some lighter color to make it look a little bit more gold-like, and again, that's just yellow mixed with a little white and burnt sienna. Not meant to look realistic, it's meant to look artistic. Sonia Ryan, programs director for Parks and Rec, always says it's fun art, not fine art. But art's in the eye of the beholder. You paint what you want to paint. Everybody was born an artist. Everybody has a creative spirit. Everybody has an idea about how they want their painting to look. I'm just trying to help you along here. Okay, now we're starting with the background. This is phthalo turquoise with white. So it makes kind of a, I don't know, azure blue, seafoamy blue. I just love this color. I use this color on almost every painting I do. I just think it's beautiful. All I'm doing now is painting the background. Very, very easy. I also like some of that underpainting to show through. It gives some depth to the painting. So don't feel like you have to put in lots of layers and cover that. We put that there for a reason. I do teach for Spring Hill Parks and Recs on Thursday morning. It's an adults class. We could take teenagers if they're homeschooled. But the class numbers are limited right now. Masks are required, social distancing is required, and not teaching any watercolor, not teaching any children's classes. Just we're really on a limited schedule, limited offerings. I'm very grateful to Parks and Recs to allow me to teach it all. There were several months this year that we weren't able to teach it all. It was just too scary. We didn't know enough about the virus to have group gatherings like that. I've had several phone calls this Christmas, mothers wanting to get their kids into painting classes after Christmas and get, some gifts for their kids for Christmas. And I'm happy to help you pick out those gifts, make suggestions on art supplies. I can do private lessons if it's a small number. But that's about it. It's just going to be a while till we're back up to full speed. So that's basically number one. You may see on my palette I'm using what's called a disposable palette that lays on top of your wooden palette. It's just for easier cleanup. But it's very rare that I actually use a store-bought disposable palette. I normally just grab a styrofoam plate. Disposable is a good thing. You just want to be able to throw away your leftover paint. There's no reason to have to clean it up or save it or anything. So you can always squeeze out more from the tube, but you can't put it back in. So you want to make sure you're not over adding paint to that palette. Start with about a nickel size to begin with, and then you can always add more. You're going to go through more yellow and white paint than any other color. You might as well buy larger tubes of those. Okay, now carving into that negative space to redefine the shape there. And then we will continue with the other painting. Same color. And the beauty of this is you can choose any color you want. You can mix any color you want. You can match, the decor of the room where you plan to display these, whether it be in the living room by your Christmas tree or the kids in their bedroom. They'd make great presents for grandparents. I know my mom has handmade painted ornaments and other things that we made for she and my dad growing up, and she pulls them out every Christmas. They're on the tree. We never really understood those families that run out and buy a whole new, tree and ornaments every year to have a different look. Our tree always had the same look because it was the same ornaments every year. But it's nostalgic. Christmas is about being nostalgic, and it's fun to remember, Mr. Bob, who would make the hand-cut wooden ornaments at Christmas time for our kindergarten class, and our kindergarten teachers helping us mix the paint. I think it was tempera paint, which I don't know how well that stays on wood, but one ornament in particular I remember was a gold star, and I had kind of goobered a little red paint on it, so it wasn't completely gold, but I'm a little clumsy, always have been. I get it honestly. So you may have seen how I just kind of went over that and reshaped it. In fact, I probably didn't shape it exactly right. There we go. Much better. Now, I didn't sign these because, it's a reference painting for the kids. But if you're going to do this at home, especially with your kids, please let them sign them. Even if it's not very good on the front, but let them sign them with a pen on the back and date it, because that's going to be really important from years to come. I have so many students that think their paintings are, just ready for the trash can. Nobody would ever like them, and that's just not true. There's always going to be someone wanting one of your original paintings, whether it be your mother, grandmother, sister, neighbor. In fact, there'll be a day when people will fight over these paintings, and it's just so important that you not only keep them in the family and with friends, but you put those dates on there so we know when they're from, and they want it in your handwriting. They want your name in your handwriting. It's really going to be special to those grandkids and great-grandkids to come. Some of my most treasured paintings are the ones that my grandfather did at the Art Institute of Baltimore in 1921. I also have paintings from friends and colleagues and artists that I admire. I have paintings from several great aunts were artists. I mean, there's just nothing more personal than an original painting. Let the critics decide if it's good or not. As long as you enjoy painting it and the person who receives it enjoys that you gave it to them, that you made it, and that it's beautiful to them, that's all that matters. Adding a little more cast shadow in here, just for fun. We're not trying to make it photorealistic. This is a little harder to do because that background color is still wet. May take a little extra paint to get that on there. If you live in Spring Hill or anywhere near Spring Hill, we're always looking for members for the Friends of Spring Hill Parks, and we're always looking for volunteers if that's something you want to get involved in. And there you have it. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you join me sometime to paint in person. It would be so much fun. And I wish you all a very happy and Merry Christmas.